Hi, I'm Rosenberg. Welcome to my latest YouTube video and podcast. Today's subject is based upon a question that one of my Patreon subscribers asked. But before I proceed, let me briefly tell you a little bit about my Patreon program. There are different levels of subscription. Through each level, you can get content that is not anywhere else to be found. Exclusive content, whether it's information or content that I've recently written, videos, photographs, new ideas, announcements. If you are a Patreon subscriber, you're going to hear about it first and see it when other people won't. So a Patreon subscriber asked a question about cognitive dissonance. And at first I thought, well, this is a really general question. And then I thought, wow, I think by answering this question and talking about the concept, I can explain a lot that has to do with codependence or people with self-love deficit disorder, pathological narcissism, and the human magnet syndrome relationship dynamic that brings the two together, that bonds them, keeps them locked together, and of course the codependent or the SLD unhappy and the narcissist happy. But first, let me explain exactly what cognitive dissonance is. It's a very simple psychological concept that basically says it's an inner state of turmoil, anxiety, and discomfort when you are grappling with two opposite, contrasting, or opposing ideas. Or it is that same feeling of anxiety, unease, if you're doing something or representing something that does not fit with your morals, does not fit with your belief system. It's a feeling that makes us feel uncomfortable. So if you think of like a symphony orchestra, dissonance is what happens when all of the people playing their instruments are playing at the same time, and they're loud, they're not tuned, and it is painful to the ears. Ow, dissonance. You don't want to hear it. Well, cognitive dissonance are the voices, the thoughts, the feelings that are playing in your head at the same time that are bothering also, that are unsettling, makes you feel stressed, sometimes angry. A lot of people confuse cognitive dissonance with anxiety. But anxiety is a real psychological problem. It's a mental health disorder where you feel tense, you feel stressed, your mind ruminates, or it goes in areas where you can't control it. You're always kind of uneasy and always kind of hypervigilant and alert. And it's a very, very uncomfortable disorder that a lot of people suffer from, whether they have generalized anxiety disorder or just anxiety that is not at the level of being diagnosed, but a problem. Well, cognitive dissonance makes you feel anxious. It's not the same as an anxiety disorder, but cognitive dissonance can be your friend or it can be your enemy. And how it can be your friend is simple. If you're doing something you don't like, you're doing something that you feel bad about, that doesn't represent you well, if someone has somehow talked you into doing something or even coerced you into doing something or representing something or allowing something, and it goes against your belief system, you're going to feel uncomfortable. There's going to be dissonance. There are going to be voices in your head that say, stop it, don't do this. What's wrong with you? This is bad. You know better. Oh no, this is going to be bad. There's going to be consequences. It is the cacophony of voices that are saying, stop, reconsider, do what's good for you. Cognitive dissonance. It is a wonderful phenomenon when we use it to our benefit. But when we don't listen to it, or we listen to it and don't do anything to stop it, well, then it becomes a part of a dysfunctional process. And think about it. Have you ever had a job with a boss that you didn't like, but you just needed to keep that job because you needed to pay the bills? And you kind of grew up and realized, well, sometimes you got to do what you got to do in order to keep things moving forward. Well, you have cognitive dissonance, but you also know this is time limited. You're going to figure out a way out of it and you're going to overcome it. Well, the same thing happens in relationships. If you're in a difficult relationship, let's say one that doesn't have chemistry. We'll start with that because chemistry isn't necessarily good versus bad, attractive versus unattractive. It is just this feeling of comfort and ease when someone just feels right. It's the precursor of falling in love. But if you are in a relationship where there's no chemistry and you can't really get to romantic love, passion, this synchronized feeling of just perfection where everything feels coordinated and perfectly aligned, Well, then you fall in love. And when it feels good, it feels like you're like dancing on air. That's what my dad once would call when it starts off feeling like a soulmate, but later devolves into a cellmate. There's no cognitive dissonance when you're following chemistry, whether it's dysfunctional chemistry or healthy chemistry. And what I mean by that is if you're an SLD, a codependent, and you have chemistry with a narcissist, well, that's dysfunctional because eventually that chemistry is going to morph out of this pleasure and fun and excitement into the narcissist taking center stage, making sure he or she gets what they want, and kind of subjugating you into their role of the secondary person that their job is to kind of take the crap and please them. But if you're a codependent or SLD and you meet someone who is either codependent or healthy, there will be no chemistry. The human magnet syndrome predicts that there's got to be an opposite connection. And if you're more similar, or if one is healthy and the other is not, there's not going to be a feeling of comfort. It's not going to feel safe, which is kind of paradoxical that it feels safe with a narcissist, but that's just the way it is. Familiarity creates this paradoxical feeling of safety. Well, in a situation like that where there's no chemistry and the person is not threatening, you're going to have cognitive dissonance. Something is just not going to feel right. You're going to have these voices, these thoughts, these feelings, stress, anxiety, kind of take control and bother you. And they won't go away until you equalize yourself and find a relationship that does feel like it's matched, that does feel like it is real chemistry based upon a matching or syncing up with your personality. And if you're healthy, or you're a recovering SLD or a recovering codependent, and you should start going out with someone who is a narcissist, well, you are going to feel cognitive dissonance. Something's not going to feel right. You're going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to get angry. You're going to be resentful. You're going to want to set boundaries, or you're going to react to someone who's controlling you or being selfish. And you're going to have this uncomfort, this uneasiness, and it won't go away until you do something. Well, that's cognitive dissonance. In that case, well, that's a healthy process. Well, in the case where you are dating someone who you're not synced up with and they're not necessarily harmful, well, that's a dysfunctional process, because even though that you are not threatened by an individual, it means that you're not going to get close and fall in love with someone that is good for you. So cognitive dissonance is that feeling that is the alarm for us. It is the warning system that when we feel it, we should know something is wrong and we should listen to it. It can be used to our benefit. A lot of people who are in therapy, who are in recovery, who have done a lot of emotional or mental health work, they understand that when they're uncomfortable and they're stressed or afraid, that is the way their brain, their body tells them something's not right and you need to fix it. And it's an alarm system. It's a safety system. It brings us to a situation where we have to fix it. We have to solve it, and that could mean solving the relationship so that it can continue, setting boundaries, and ending the relationship, or various other reactions that will help us feel comfortable and eliminate the cognitive dissonance. For example, you can be a recovering SLD, and you have worked really hard to achieve what I call self-love abundance. and you're ready to date. And in my treatment program, it's clearly delineated that we don't date until a certain time. There is an order to what a person needs to do first, what they need to learn, what they need to master, what challenges they need to overcome before they can finally get to the point where they are ready to date. When their human magnet syndrome has been realigned, they no longer are going to have positive chemistry with narcissists. There's going to be a repulsion, like two magnets pushing away from each other. It's going to be a time when a healthy person is going to be magnetically attracted to them. That is when, in this stage, I explain to my clients, it's safe to date. And only in this stage do we start to work on the new challenges of learning how to date people who are healthy and to be healthy when dating. But I digress. Cognitive dissonance, it is an alarm, it is a warning system, it is your friend. When you feel stressed, you feel anxious, you feel tension, you feel the warmth, and you just cannot relax because in your mind, something doesn't fit. You don't fit. You're not doing something that'll make you feel safer, or someone is doing something that is making you feel uncomfortable, or they're being the type of person that's making you uncomfortable. We have to listen to it. Again, cognitive dissonance can be our friend. It can show us what we need to know, what we need to learn that is difficult. For example, let's say you're involved in my self-love recovery program and we're at stage 4, which is not stage 9, the stage where you're ready to date and you trust your newfound self-love abundance, but you date prematurely. You're probably going to fall in love with another narcissist, and that will feel like chemistry, but there also is going to be cognitive dissonance because a part of you knows this is not right, knows that you shouldn't be doing this. So cognitive dissonance can come to us at all different times. It can come to us when we're not healthy, we're making a mistake, but we can't help it. When we are moving in the direction of being mentally or psychologically healthy, building self-love abundance, and we're swaying or moving beyond or away from safety or good mental health. Or it can be when you're in a healthy relationship and something happens where the alarms go off and you have to set a boundary. You have to have a conversation. And in those cases, the other person is open to it. It is a mutual phenomenon where you can talk about what is bothering you, you can set a boundary, and that person is going to respond in kind. They might not be happy, they might be mad, but you'll have a conversation. That is what healthy people do. And you will come to some kind of agreement, and your cognitive dissonance, your feelings of angst, anxiety, discomfort will go down. So I want to leave you with this idea. Trust that internal feeling, that feeling of stress, anxiety, discomfort, cognitive dissonance. When your thoughts don't align with your morals, your beliefs, your goals, don't just get upset and just conclude, well, I'm stressed and anxious, I have to figure out a way to get past this or overcome it. No, trust it. Look towards it. Look into it. Find the truth. Use it as golden nuggets that are going to deliver you to a better and safer place. That is what self-love abundant people do. And that is what you know you can do and you have been doing. Or if you're struggling and you're self-love deficient or codependent, it can be your future. If you would like to know more information about my work, whether it's my books, my brand new workbook, which I'm very proud to announce, the Human Magnet Syndrome Workbook, or working with me in psychotherapy or my self-love recovery treatment program, or consider my Patreon subscription program, or just drop me a line at help@selfloverecovery.com. Well, I hope this has been helpful. I hope that it provoked some thoughts. Maybe it gave you cognitive dissonance. And if that happened, and it's for a good reason, I'm glad. Well, before I say goodbye, just a reminder, I have the Self-Love Recovery mailbag. If there is a question you want me to answer at the end of my video, write it in the YouTube comment sections. Or if you're listening to this on podcast, just write us the question at help@selfloverecovery.com. The reason that I didn't include one in this video is because the question came from my Patreon subscription. Okay? Take care and be well. Bye-bye.